Welcome to a new update. It has been 2 weeks, but today we're going to talk about my top 5 altcoins. And I'm not going to talk about just 5 plain altcoins that you need to be focused on, but I'm going to give you some more background on how to invest in them, how to take profits, how to decide why you're choosing those. And I hope I can bring you some knowledge in this video on what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and most importantly, what I'm doing. Before we continue, I would like to thank you all for being part of the journey. I've been doing this for the past 6 years. Has been a roller coaster. Have been having great periods. Have been having some periods that have not been doing well. Of course, it's the same as the markets. And as you might have heard, we have changed our entire company, which is we have closed down the Discord group, which you provide a premium membership with trades and all those stuff. We have closed that because we have switched towards a crypto consultancy and education, which means that we can assist you on everything that you need to do in the market. So we've got a few portfolios that we personally use for our investment thesis, which we can do with your portfolio, which gives you a guideline for the next 2 years or next year, or at least we can assist you through those years, through which you have a safe and risk-averse way of investing in the markets. And I think I find it more useful to do it this way, because now we can actually one-on-one assist you with your portfolio. And as you can see, on the page, on our homepage, our returns have been going pretty well. The returns for the low risk portfolio are 63%, for the high risk 73%, and the rest is in between. Also, what is coming up in the next few months is our trading one-on-one course, which is going to give you all info that you need to know in investing altcoins, risk management, how to use every must know for trading crypto, support and resistances and all the technicals like order blocks, and how to build a setup with take profit, stop loss and entry, patterns, and my personal strategies that I'm using when I'm trading into the markets. So that's coming as well. Now, this video is brought to you by Bitvavo, which is the easiest to use exchange out there. I'm using multiple exchanges to be aware of the fact that if an exchange collapses, that I still have my money. So I diversify my risk in that way, and also making it simple for myself to use multiple exchanges for multiple purposes. So for Bitvavo, I'm using it as my swing trading altcoin exchange, where I trade and invest into altcoins on a substantial long period, like weeks to months. So I'm using this for that strategy, and it's easy because it has all the altcoins out there. It is the easiest user experience I can see for anyone being a beginner or advanced trader in the crypto markets. You can easily scroll through everything, and it has a direct access to your bank gateway, which means that you can easily transfer money from your bank towards crypto, and you can use it everywhere in Europe. So in that way, I would definitely thank Bitvavo for being a sponsor of this video, and I can give you 10 euros welcome bonus if you decide to start trading through them. Now, what are the top 5 altcoins at this point? Well, we're going to talk about a few important topics, and the first one is, why do people invest into altcoins, and why are those videos currently getting more momentum than they used to get in the previous years? Because the thing is that people are making money on altcoins, and I've got Solana up here. So probably people have heard that some people have been making money on Solana. So word of mouth is just going around. People hearing about it, people jumping into the asset, more people start investing into the asset, hype is being created, so people on social media start to make content on it as a purpose to get you into their products, and then you can see that the hype is continuing towards a maximum. That is when most people start to jump in, and then we correct because the early adopters are starting to get into take profit regions as they are up a lot, and that's how the cycle goes. So where are we right now? We are currently at the stage that some altcoins, including and also Bitcoin actually, but some altcoins have been doing really well, which means that people start to feel the fear of missing out. Hence why they want to invest into altcoins, because they also want to get the big profits that the other people have been getting. So in that way, we can see a lot of interest into the altcoin markets, and it's nothing compared to how a bull cycle is going to be, but at least it's going to get there in the short term, or at least we're going to get it already. And those are all psychological signals that you can see, and that's why I brought up Solana, which is that if you're buying Solana in this entire run, and also Bonk is an example of it, if you buy it after it has been doing a 5 to 6x, you should be thinking about the entire vision behind it. So you should be thinking about, okay, so who is going to buy here? And if I see it all around social media, does it mean that I'm at the first part of the group? Or am I a laggard just listening to some other people and thinking I want that as well, but I don't know how, so I just blindly follow someone? So the question is, and that's what I would like to explain first, is that the way of investing into altcoins is super important to realize. So first of all, let's just think about two important concepts, which are reward and risk. If you decide to invest into a specific asset, it has a certain level of risk, which is comparable to government bonds. They have a relatively low risk, low reward. Stocks, they have a higher reward, higher risk. Commodities is in between. Crypto has a significant massive reward, but also has a significant high risk, which means that you can always make this decision for yourself, and that's how you build a portfolio. Now let's assume that hype is getting towards the actual high here, and we want to have a thesis of buying Solana around $117. Well, if you think about it and you start saying, hey, I want to buy a Solana here, you need to start investigating what is the potential upside from there and what is the likelihood that I'm going to get that upside. The second question you should have for yourself is, what is the downside and what are the odds of having such a downside? So then you are technically calculating the data that were presented by you through the sentiment, hype, and the price action. In that way, let's assume that if we are looking for to buy Solana at 116, then we can still have an upwards rally towards $160. But we can also have a downwards return towards $77, right? If we do it that way, we assume that there is a chance, right? And the chance is that we can go up by $50 and the chance is that we go down by $40. If this is equal, the chances are equal, then it's not really a favorable trade to make, because if the odds are equal, you need to be right a lot of times to make sure that this trade is going to do well over 100 opportunities that you're going to get. So for instance, if 50 trades are going well, you would have been making the difference between the two. But if only 30% of the trades are going the right way, you will be losing in the long run. So you also want to downgrade the potential risk in that way, and you want to search for the optimal trade opportunities, which is by lowering the risk of losing money and by increasing the reward that you can get. Which means that if you are going to wait for this thesis and price comes here in this region, you can start having the exact same debate. If you say, hey, price can still go down by $20 from here, from 85 to 65, but it can also go back up towards 160, my upside is approximately $80 and my downside is 20, then it becomes highly favorable to take this trade, or more optimal. The difference is though that the sentiment in this period is going to switch towards ultra negative, which means that in this period you won't be seeing all the social media hype, you won't be seeing all the momentum, you won't be hearing people thinking about the actual entry to take on this asset, because people only share when they are actually making money on an asset and not when they are making the action of actually purchasing an asset. No, they will share it after the actual trade has been going, and they won't be sharing when they are losing on an actual trade. So this is some of the background that I would actually wanted to share with you. The question is, should you be buying things like Solana or Injective at this point? I would say just be patient, because it's all about opportunity costs. And in the markets, if something has been running this heavily, and I'll be talking about this in January some more, but if assets have been running this massively, there are better opportunities in the markets. but you won't see them on social media. So in order to get them, you need to put in the effort, the research, the reflection, the actually hours that you're also putting into your work to make sure that you're making proper decisions into investing. And I hope that this part is giving you some thesis or background on how you should be doing it. Now, going towards a basket of altcoins that I would like to invest in, I think it's not about getting the highest return on an investment. It is about compounding your returns, because the markets are going into cycles, which means that a window of a few months altcoins go up massively, and in a window of a few months altcoins will go down substantially too. And you want to capture that, which you do by allocating wisely to diversify risk, and you want to capture that by having a proper strategy. So through that, you need to look into Bitcoin pairs, and I'll discuss that at a later point on YouTube too. But now, what am I going to invest in my top 5 altcoins? Well, as I mentioned, I don't believe into getting into very small altcoins to maximize the risk. I think compounding your returns and having a proper strategy is going to benefit in the long run, because otherwise I would go to a casino, take the roulette table, have luck there, and then just continue moving on. When we look at the markets, my first initial altcoin, which you can classify as one, is going to be Ethereum. The reasoning for Ethereum to take is the fact that Bitcoin has been seeing a lot of upside already. Bitcoin in itself, in the ETF, everybody is already positioned into that trade, so it's getting a little bit overcrowded, and I think the upside is relatively kept, which means that there is a likely chance that we're going to stabilize or correct with the price action of Bitcoin, which means that I think that we're going to switch towards another asset, or at least the money flow cycle starts to heat up. Hence why I think that the rest of the market will follow through, meaning that I think that Ethereum is going to provide a higher return in the coming period through several arguments. First of all, I think that Ethereum is also going to get the momentum due to the fact that there is going to be a spot Ethereum ETF being approved later in the year. So if Bitcoin gets through, then everybody's going to focus on Ethereum. Second thing is that Ethereum proof of stake system is not really priced in yet. I think the actual event and the aftermath has seen a pretty bad price action, but I think that it's going to switch relatively soon as the fundamental adoption is going to grow. Hence why I think that Ethereum is undervalued at this point, because there is a deflationary system involved into that investment thesis, which is comparable to Bitcoin. Final argument is the fact that Ethereum against Bitcoin is currently bottoming out. And also first quarter of the year is usually a period where Ethereum is doing really well. So all those arguments combined are probably going to give me an actual investment thesis to look at Ethereum as the first altcoin to look at. Now, when we're looking at the altcoins, what are we looking at if we have this thesis? I think overall we are also going to look at altcoins like the newer ones that are aligned with the Ethereum ecosystem. And for most, I'm not looking at an investment strategy that have very small altcoins. I think that's unethical and that's very tricky to do so. And if you want to invest into small altcoins, you need to allocate a very tiny portion. But I think that having a solid investment strategy with having big caps in there, it would yield you a high return if you have the right strategy. Hence why I think that if we are looking to invest into Ethereum, we are also looking to invest into the rest of the ecosystem that solve the biggest challenge of Ethereum, which is scalability. That's why I would look for solutions that are relatively new, because they are built from issues that we generated in 2021 where we faced those scalability issues. So that's why I'm looking at Arbitrum as the next solution, which is a new one. There's not much price action yet, which is tricky, but it can give you a very interesting investment thesis if you start to look at the Bitcoin pair, because the Bitcoin pair is just barely starting to trend upwards. We are taking out liquidity, we are making higher highs, higher lows. So this trend is most likely going to continue, and it's most likely going to yield a higher return, because Ethereum is most likely going to outperform Bitcoin. So this one is going to give you a higher return than Ethereum. The second one is comparable, which is Optimism. It has been seeing a tremendous run already. which means that there is some risks involved by buying this actual asset. But anything in this region here, so if we start to correct a little bit more, I think allocating money towards this actual asset is going to make a lot of sense. The hype is already substantial here. I'm not sure whether we're going to get this deep, so I would use the dollar cost average strategy in this, which means that buying a portion on every 10 cents that's dropping to make sure that you get a nice average entry. And then I would say that I would be holding the actual asset for the coming few months to make sure that I capture the most upside on this, and also making sure that I'm still allocating towards a potential additional solution for the Ethereum ecosystem. Now, when we talk about this, we are also looking at other useful aspects of the market. So as a fourth altcoin, I'm looking at Chainlink to be added into this pack, which means that I'm looking for Chainlink to be added because Chainlink has been going into the longest bear market that it existed, and it also has been peaking earlier in 2021, as you can see on the Bitcoin pair here, instead of in 2021. So in 2020, we peaked with Chainlink against Bitcoin, which means that cycles will happen, and that's why the opportunity costs are big, and that's why I also think that DeFi, probably cornered and added with RWA and NFTs, is going to do really well in the upcoming cycle and in the upcoming summer. So I want to capture that by being positioned into something that most likely is going to be, from an important perspective, important for the entire ecosystem. That's why I choose for Chainlink to be added to my portfolio. And it's currently starting to make higher lows, higher highs, through which we can continue that. And if we start to break through a crucial resistance of 4,500 sats, that's the moment where we're going to have continuation and start breaking out in a massive way. The final one that I am going to explain here is Sui, which is currently also starting to trend upwards. I'm not sure whether this is going to hold though, but outside of the Ethereum ecosystem and DeFi corner, I want to be investing into competitors of Ethereum, and you can choose Sui, Sai, Dots, Atom, all those projects. I would like to choose for something that's relatively new, so Sui or Sai, and they are comparable to projects like Phantom, Avalanche, Matic from 2021, and we all know what the returns are there. And I think investing into something that is on the layer 1 or layer 2, that makes sense, because if those are not going to work, then all those small altcoins that you're investing in aren't going to work either. So you need to invest into those, and that gives you a safe and proper way of investing. So that's why I choose a fifth one, which is Sui at this point. Question is though, how are you going to invest into these altcoins? Well, if you build a portfolio with these 5 altcoins, I would suggest that the larger the altcoin is, then you need to make sure that you're putting the most money into that one. Which means that in my perspective, if you take these 5, I would suggest putting in 40%. Well, I would do take 40% of my portfolio into Ether, 20% in Chainlink, 15% in Arbitrum, 15% in Optimism, and 10% in Sui, which I think is a fairly balanced portfolio, which is going to be suitable for the upcoming period. Now, how can you actually take profits with this? Well, we're going to discuss that in the next videos in the upcoming weeks. And definitely, there's not one take profit point that you need to go for. There are multiple levels of take profit. So for instance, if you take an entry on Sui here, and your target is $5, you should question yourself, what am I going to do here? Because there's a significant risk that my portfolio is going to drop 50%, and I'm not sure whether we're going to reach this. So trading is a lot about being flexible and having a flexible mindset. And that's the conclusion. If you need assistance on that, or if you want us to build a portfolio for you, make sure to reach out. In the next updates, I'll be talking more about altcoins, how to invest in them, how to take profit. But in this video, I've given you some background from an educational perspective on investing in them and making sure that you have a proper portfolio instead of having ultra low altcoins. Make sure to subscribe. Have a wonderful last few days on 2024. I'll see you at 2023. I'll see you in 2024. It's going to be amazing.